This content will be recorded and made available in an accessible alternative format upon request. If you require captioning, transcription, or other communication services to access this content, please contact the Disability Resource Center, DRC, at drc@snhu.edu or 866-305-9430. Hey class, this is Dr. Willis. I'm logging on just to briefly discuss the self-assessment plan or the writing for this week. I just want to break down this assignment. I hope you all are doing very well. I know a few people were asked a couple of questions because the assignment looked very similar to the one we completed last week. So I'm going to go into detail on how we can kind of approach this particular paper. So the focus here, we want to propose some strategies for success in graduate studies that align with our academic goals, leverage personal strengths, and address potential challenges related to motivation, time management, and academic study skills. Lastly, we want to develop clear, accurate, and well-organized academic writing that adhere to the standards, conventions, and expectations of graduate level scholarly discourse. All right, so the first thing we're going to be doing within this paper, and it's a little different than last time, you're going to provide some background information. So who are you? Who the heck are you? Give us a brief explanation. Where did you come from? Where are you from? What's important to you? So what do you value? Okay. In which degree program are you enrolled? And finally, summarize the major findings from the self-assessment that we did a couple weeks ago. Okay, so that's the first thing, your background information. All right, so like I said, the assignment is similar but different. So in the first one, we worked to really identify some strategies. You listed some challenges and you identified a few strategies that could help you within each one. But in this one, you're actually developing a solid plan for each individual entity. So the intrinsic motivation, the self-efficacy, the time management, and the academic preparation. You're developing a solid and specific plan. So you wrote briefly last week, but this time I need you to be very, very detailed. And I'm going to go into each one in the next few slides just to give you some examples of how to approach each one. So intrinsic motivation, you're going to identify and discuss strategies for maintaining your motivation to complete your graduate program. How will you keep your big picture goals in mind, even during times of stress? What reminders or habits can you employ to continue your drive to achieve those goals? So, of course, the first thing you want to do is identify those motivations. Tell me what they are, and don't just list one. I want you to list a couple motivations that you have. Then you're going to talk about some strategies on how you can maintain those motivations. And I think a good thing to do here would be to discuss some goals that you have. I would kind of in this section talk about goals and relate how the intrinsic motivation will help you achieve them. So what I would do, I would kind of talk about my intrinsic motivation and then bring in the idea of a few goals that I have. And then I'll go into writing about, now when times get tough, I can always look to my daughters and think about how those things relate to my goals. Why do you look to your daughter for motivation, or your kids? Is it because you don't want them to grow up like you grew up, for example? Is it so you can provide and expose them to the finer things in life, to greater academic abilities than you had? So what are those reasons? Why did you choose these motivations, and how can they relate to a few of your goals? Okay. The next thing is self-efficacy. I think I'm saying that right. I am not 100% sure. But again, you're going to identify some strategies that you will employ when you are feeling frustrated. isolated, overwhelmed. Additionally, identify some obstacles to those strategies. What resources can you use, and are you in control of those resources? So to break this down, so basically, I need you to get a little bit personal here. When you get frustrated, as a matter of fact, what frustrates you? What frustrates you? And when you do get frustrated, what's your plan? How do you normally cope with it? For example, what frustrates me is when students they make it an emergency on my behalf when they don't prepare or do what they're supposed to do. So if I know that frustrates me, what plan can I uh, put together to help me be a little bit less frustrated? And it's really nothing that I can do to control them. It has to be my perspective. So I have to ask myself a question. Am I teaching them well enough about preparation? And the next thing is, can I kind of relax a little bit and tell myself, Gabe, these are freshmen. You should expect them to make mistakes, and you should find better ways to encourage them through their mistakes instead of getting frustrated. So maybe that needs to be my plan. You follow what I'm saying there? So then I would say, what are some obstacles to that plan? So a few obstacles may be, some days I may not feel like giving them the extra encouragement. I may have had a bad day already. So some days I may feel like I taught them what they should know and they should be prepared. So an obstacle could be my personal feelings during that day. Okay. What are some resources that I can employ? Well, what resources can I use to help me with that plan? Or am I in control of that plan? And the example I just gave you, yes, I am in complete control of the plan that I put together to really focus on myself in dealing with the frustration. I'm completely in control of that. That does not require any external resource at all. So if I said I need to send my students to a workshop on preparation, and then that resource would be outside of my control. That's an external person who I'm using to help me manage my frustration with my students. Okay, I hope that example helped. The next thing, which many people really did well with the last one, with self-efficacy and time management. So I'm not going to read the whole question there, but I'll go into the breakdown. So of course, we're going to identify some personal challenges that we have with time management. What do you struggle with individually? Really bring this thing home. Be thorough. For example, I struggle with letting time get away from me. Like I don't budget it. I don't tell these hours where to go. These are my challenges, okay? How will I overcome them? I overcome them by developing a well-written plan in which I tell my time exactly what to do. Okay? And I want you to list more than one challenge and more than one strategy to overcome. And what support service can I take advantage of? This is a pretty common sense approach. And any obstacles to what I am planning to do in regards to my strategies and also my resources. Are my resources in my control or outside of my control? If I say I'm going to develop a well-written schedule, that's my control. I can control that. If I say, again, I'm going to go to a workshop on time management and I'm depending on somebody else to give me the information, I'm really not in control of that resource. The person providing me the information is really in control. Okay. The last thing, academic preparation. Identify and discuss strategies for addressing challenges you may face regard to academic preparation, and how will you overcome them? All right. So what challenges do you have academically? What are your normal general struggles regarding academics? Is it writing? Is it research? Is it comprehension? What do you struggle with, or what have you struggled with in the past? You can think back to your undergraduate years to now. What has always been your struggle? And what can you put together now? What plan strategically, what can you put together? you're basing this off of the culmination of every module we've done, based on some of my feedback that I've given you on your writing, on some of your strategies, on some of your motivations. What plan can you put together based on all of those things? Do you need any extra resources? What resources can you use? And of course, again, are there any potential obstacles to your plan? There's always obstacles that can get in the way of our plans. So we have to really think critically on what type of challenges can get in the way whenever we're setting a plan. Okay? All right, now in closing, as I stated earlier, this is very similar to Module 3, but you have to be more detailed in setting your plan. And of course, this is in paragraph form. I want you to write this as a graduate student. Please employ proper punctuation, grammar, flow, double spaced, Times New Roman 12.5, all those things. I need you to follow those instructions and be thorough, be detailed. When in doubt, explain more. Okay, and always focus on your flow. And please email me with questions. Of course, this is a detailed assignment that can present some challenges. So I want you to reach out if you have any questions, and also use that Module 5 discussion board to ask any questions you may have as well. Okay, have a good night. Bye.